President Biden is in Spain this morning, where he'll meet today with NATO leaders in high-stakes discussions about the alliance's future. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell is traveling with the president and joins us now from Madrid. Kelly, good morning to you. So before we get into NATO, I do want to ask you real quickly about the January 6th hearing. Did the president watch any of the testimony yesterday, or at the very least, do we know if he's been updated on those proceedings?
Well, Joe, I checked in with senior officials, and because of the president's schedule and the busy meetings and obligations here, he was not able to see it in real time. We're 6 hours ahead of the U.S., but they assure me that he will be briefed on the essential points. His focus has been on the international work he's doing here.
Yeah, so let's talk briefly about the president's agenda today at NATO. We know he arrived in Spain after taking part in the G7 summit. It's been a busy morning so far. What more can you tell us?
Well, officials are calling this perhaps the most consequential NATO summit in the history of the organization. That's saying a lot, because there has been a huge buildup about this meeting, and President Biden is right in the center of all of it. And that includes the U.S. pledging additional troops in Eastern Europe as a part of the defense and deterrence related to NATO because of what Russia has done in Ukraine, because of the war and the provocations and the outright aggression from Russia. This alliance wants to show greater strength, greater deterrence. So the U.S. is committing to have long-term deployments of troops in countries along the eastern flank. And that is something that has been increasing, and now the president is expanding that commitment. There is also the work of expanding the group itself to include Sweden and Finland. Some of the roadblocks to that have been smoothed over. That was happening last night. And so now an alliance of 30 nations could soon be 32. Further strengthening how the organizations of NATO, which come together to try to have a world order where there is a respect for boundaries and a respect for international norms, to strengthen that. And that's part of what's happening here. So there are big consequential meetings. And of course, because Ukraine is so much at the heart of it, officials are also hearing from President Zelensky by video today. He did that at the G7 meeting with a smaller group of leaders earlier. And now what we are understanding is the message from him is about that ongoing threat to other nations, not just Ukraine, but the fact that what Russia has done should be a warning to the other members of this alliance. Joe?
Kelly, while we have you, yesterday we heard from Biden's Health and Human Services Secretary outlining what's next following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. We have like 30 seconds here. What was the big takeaway?
Well, certainly the federal government is saying it's going to use all of the powers it has to try to provide protection for women, with things like making certain there's medical privacy, making certain that medications used for abortion can be made available and would have authorization and be used through medical programs and insurance, and looking for ways to further strengthen access to that kind of reproductive care where the federal government can have a say. Joe?
Kelly O'Donnell, a lot to cover from Madrid, Spain. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.